In recent days, a photo of Jimin has resurfaced on social media, attracting widespread attention. The photo immediately caused a stir, as many assumed Jungkook was by his side. However, the truth was different. The photo wasn't a recent moment, but rather an old snapshot taken in 2013, during Jimin's trip to Budapest to record the song, Who. What makes this story even more interesting is the fact that the restaurant Jimin is seen in wasn't a random location. It turned out to be Jungkook's recommendation. A few months earlier, Jungkook had visited the restaurant while busy preparing for Standing Next to You. He fell in love with the restaurant's ambience and immediately thought it was the perfect place for Jimin. That simple detail actually holds a deeper meaning. It's not just about where to eat, but about how Jungkook always thinks of Jimin even in the little things. He cares not only about big moments, but also about seemingly trivial everyday things, like making sure Jimin eats well, rests peacefully, or simply feels comfortable. Small gestures like these show how significant Jungkook's presence is in Jimin's life. Although the public has rarely seen them together in front of the camera lately, that doesn't mean they've drifted apart. On the contrary, many believe they prefer to keep their relationship private, away from the public spotlight and the gossip that often arises whenever they're together. This is their way of protecting what they have, something that can't be measured by how often they're seen together, but rather by how consistently they've been there for each other over the years. Their story is one of unwavering support, of looking out for each other, both in their personal and professional lives. Jungkook has proven time and again that he's always there for Jimin, supporting him unconditionally. This doesn't depend on recent photos or public appearances. For true fans, the most important thing is the belief that their bond is real, strong, and unfading even with the passage of time. The moment in Budapest is just one small piece of the long story they've built together. A simple piece of advice from Jungkook, visiting a restaurant he loves, is another testament to his care. And when that old photo resurfaces and is mistaken for a new moment, it becomes even clearer how their story is filled with small details that gradually reveal just how close their bond is. Restaurant recommendations, travel itineraries, and even casual conversation, all of it blends into their way of relating, full of trust, warmth, and a connection that needs no further explanation. On the other hand, there's also a recent moment that's been widely discussed: Jungkook's arrival at the airport. From the outside, it seemed like a normal arrival. However, one small detail has sparked much debate. As he opened the car door and exited, Jungkook glanced inside as if reaching for something or perhaps waving goodbye. For some, it was just a casual gesture. Perhaps he was retrieving a lost item or making sure nothing was left behind. But for others, the moment was more than a coincidence. They believed Jimin was in the car, and Jungkook's hand gesture was a small gesture of goodbye between the two of them. While there's no official confirmation, this speculation isn't out of the question. Since the beginning of their careers, Jimin and Jungkook have been known to share many moments together offstage. They're often seen traveling together, accompanying each other on trips, or simply sharing simple daily activities. This consistent togetherness makes every small gesture between them always spark curiosity. For fans, what was interesting wasn't just the gesture at the airport, but what it implied. Whatever the interpretation, the moment reaffirmed the long history of their closeness. From the early years of their debut, they've been supportive of each other. Jimin often protecting Jungkook on stage, or Jungkook always ready to encourage Jimin when he felt insecure. Fans still remember the many moments when they were seen traveling in a car together. In those photos, they looked relaxed, joking, and smiling effortlessly. There was no preparation or imagery, just a natural togetherness. That's why imagining Jimin in Jungkook's car at the airport isn't a stretch. However, of course, everyone has their own perspective. Some consider it mere coincidence, while others believe it's further evidence of their togetherness. This difference in interpretation is what keeps the moment constantly talked about, even days after it happened. Regardless of whether the speculation is true or not, one thing is clear. The image of Jimin and Jungkook together has become part of fans' collective memory. Over the years, they've demonstrated care, support, and a connection that's hard to ignore. Even without tangible evidence at the airport, fans know their togetherness remains consistent. What's interesting is that in Jimin and Jungkook's relationship, it's often not words that take center stage but actions. The way they move, look at each other, or simply stand side by side is enough to send a message. From concerts to interviews, from formal occasions to casual settings, the shift in their demeanor when together is always evident. They often unconsciously lean in, touch each other without hesitation, or exchange genuine glances. This pattern doesn't happen once or twice, but repeats itself over and over again, as if it's become a habit formed over years of togetherness. From this, many fans concluded that their interactions were genuine, not planned. This is what led fans to believe that their relationship was more than just work colleagues. Their bond was built on small details repeated over and over again. Laughing together, reaching out when needed, or offering comfort in simple ways. When all these small details come together, they form a bigger picture of two people finding a safe space in each other. So it's no surprise that the image of Jimin in Jungkook's car makes sense. Although there's no concrete evidence, Jungkook's hand gestures, seemingly greeting or saying goodbye, align with a pattern we've seen throughout. Every fragment, both old and new, reaffirms one thing. Jimin and Jungkook's closeness is not an illusion, but a real part of their long journey together. Ultimately, whether the gesture was simply a reflex or a sign of goodbye to someone special, only the two of them know. But for fans, the mere possibility that it involved Jimin is enough to rekindle a beautiful story of affection, care, and a bond that requires no further proof. Jimin and Jungkook's story isn't about how often they're seen together, but about how consistently they're present for each other, even in the smallest details. From a restaurant in Budapest to a car door at the airport, they all create a larger mosaic of a relationship that continues to unfold naturally, one that stood the test of time, rumors, or distance. Ultimately, all these little stories, from a restaurant in Budapest to a simple gesture at the airport, remind us that the relationship between Jimin and Jungkook isn't something that can be measured by a recent photo or a public moment. There's something deeper, more sincere, and more enduring that can only be read in the way they show up in each other's lives. They may not always be together in front of the camera, but the bond is real and ever-present. Every look, every touch, every little detail that emerges along their journey is proof that their closeness never fades. For us fans, what matters most isn't how often they're seen together, but how much they care for each other, even in silence. And if we believe in anything, we know this. Jimin and Jungkook will always find a way to stay together, even if the world tries to interpret them in different ways. JIKOOK isn't just today's story, but a long story that continues to be written bit by bit. And perhaps that's why we're all still here, watching, supporting, and celebrating a relationship so beautiful in all its simplicity.